Hello and welcome to DT Daily, back here again, starting the week off. It is November 5th right now, Monday, live from Portland, Oregon, as we usually are at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, and on tap today, as usual, lots to get to. We're going to be talking to Julian Trocatu, our mobile editor for Digital Trends. He's going to be joined by Jermaine Clement to talk about the OnePlus 6T. We also have some other things he's going to cover, including the upcoming Samsung event and talking about the Apple iPad Pro. We've got Chris Dixon of Pencil, who's going to be stopping by to talk about his pretty amazing career and what he does at his academy there. We've got Ryan Juanita from our entertainment section, who's going to be hopping on to talk about his interview with Jermaine Clement. Yes, Jermaine Clement of Flight of the Conchords. We're going to play part of that interview on here and talk about his experience with him and everything that went along with that. And I am Greg Nibbler, joined here in studio with Adrian Warner.
Good morning.
Hello, Adrian.
Happy Monday.
Thank you very much for joining us today. We're going to be covering our top headline news segment here in just a minute. We've got our Read 'em and Weep segment where we'll be talking about all kinds of different things that are going on with that, the different comments that we've received over the weekend. I've read some of them. I'm going to dispute one of them. And then just one.
Okay.
Well, one at least. I guess I can't guarantee the rest of them. One in particular, there's a math question that I already proved incorrect. So we're going to talk about that. We do have our $100 Amazon gift card giveaway coming up on today's show. And to tell you who won the gift card on Friday, it was Mario.
Mario C.
Mario C.
Congratulations.
Mario won it. Congratulations, Mario. You are the winner of a $100 Amazon gift card. We've got more coming up on today's episode. So we've got another gift card we'll be giving away, and we will let you know how to win that at some point during the show, during this broadcast. Adrian, let's get to our headline news segment here.
Yeah, absolutely. So number one thing that seems to be the biggest buzz right now is Elon Musk releasing his video of the disturbingly long tunnel underneath LA.
I like that it's disturbingly long is the key phrase in there. So yeah, and if you don't know, Elon's Boringcompany, they're the ones that came out with the flamethrower. They also have been working on trying to rethink modern transportation.
And you know what? I never anticipated that brilliant pun coming with the Boringcompany, boring underneath the city of Los Angeles.
Boring tunnels underneath. Well, this is the video that we're taking a look at right now. So this was released over the weekend by Elon Musk. So they do have an entire test tunnel that has been built in southwest LA, somewhere around there in southwestern Los Angeles, and it's been something they've been working on for quite some time. And Elon Musk posted a video of actually traveling through the tunnel over the weekend.
Yeah, there's some fascinating details surrounding the tunnel and how the transit is going to work. It sounds like there's going to be a one long track and cars are going to enter but continuously move so that it's not a stop and start system like a normal subway.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, anything that's revolutionizing transit in LA is exciting.
Right? Yeah, well, absolutely you would take that. And I mean, the idea would be that this is then used in multiple different cities. I know there's talk about a contract they have with the city of Chicago to actually build one of these. But it is pretty fascinating, and people are very, very intrigued by it as far as how it's going to actually work. Will this actually come to fruition? Because Elon Musk is one of those guys, he says a lot of things.
He says a lot of things. He tweets a lot of things.
Yeah. Some things he shouldn't tweet that come out there come out to backfire a little bit. But I guess when you're a multi-millionaire, you can get away with that sometimes.
Yeah, and it sounds like we'll get a preview of this soon. It looks like people are going to be able to do a test ride on December 10th, so that's just a little bit over a month away.
Yep. Yeah, so this is going to be, supposedly, it's going to be offered to the public where you can go on a free ride along the test track. And the media will be down there as well, December 10th. I would love to do DT Daily live from the Boring Tunnel, but I don't know if that's going to happen. However, I'm sure we'll have some really good coverage of it. And December 10th, if you're in the LA area, I don't know, show up at Elon's place and say, I want to ride in your tunnel. I'm not sure how that's going to work. I want to ride in your tunnel, man. You said it. So we'll take a look at some of the comments here. Let's see. Key Williams says, I want to ride too. DT, road trip. Yeah, I think a road trip may be necessary to go check this out. Mm-hmm. I mean, would you want to be one of the first ones to ride in his...
Absolutely. I mean, it would be so well covered by the media that if anything went wrong,
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'd be abandoned down there. I'm also really curious to see where it goes. It sounds like it might start around the SpaceX headquarters and then go west, which I looked it up, and I guess it's either into the ocean or to LAX. We'll see.
One or the other. Yeah, you're going to end up somewhere. Yeah, and then I've seen some comments. Vicky said, until there's a major earthquake, it's going to be great.
That did
true.
occur to me.
That is something that they do have to factor in there. That would not be the ideal time, I would think, to be down in that tunnel, but we'll see what happens with it. And there's a great article at digitaltrends.com that you can take a look at, just kind of walking through everything that he's done with it, where we're at with it. And, he is definitely going forward.
Absolutely.
Candace said, would love to spend a few minutes in his brain. I don't know. I don't know if that'd be a good thing or a bad thing, but it would be interesting.
It'd be like Inception.
Yeah, I know, like
Ideas hatching within ideas.
Oh God, yeah. And then terrible tweets coming out. So anyway, Elon Musk with his Boringcompany. You can check that out, digitaltrends.com. All right, let's get to our Read 'em and Weep segment. We do this every day here at DT Daily, where we take a look at some of the comments and the questions and the different criticisms or sometimes compliments that come through on social media, because we like to read the comments. We really do. So let's go ahead and start off here. This is our Read 'em and Weep segment. We're going to pull up some that we have seen. Let's see. The first one I believe we're going to take a look at is this one from Random Z. This came through on YouTube. Regarding the Alienware 17R5 gaming laptop. Says, thanks for the info, but why are you talking like a Kardashian? I'm not sure.
I'm really not sure what that refers to or to whom that refers
I kind of want to see one of our editors talk like a Kardashian.
I hope they put on some like glamorous hair.
And yeah, I went through with it. Well, I suppose you can look up the Alienware gaming laptop review and take a look at that. But that is the comment from Random Z. Thank you, Random Z.
That could be a compliment or a criticism.
That's true. You're right. Yeah, we don't know if that was one way or another. It's like, why are you talking like a Kardashian? That's great. No, I don't know. I'm not really sure where they were going with it, but that's what we have. The next one that we're going to take a look at is Christopher Morgan regarding the 50 best photos from space. I highly encourage everyone. I mean, the article's great. It's a lot of 50 photos from space. I mean, there's not a whole lot more to it than that. Mm-hmm. But the comment section is amazing.
It's on fire.
It is on fire. There are so many flat earthers that show up on this thing.
Wow.
It's a fun read. You'll go down this rabbit hole for a while. But this one is Christopher saying, I dare anyone who thinks that space is fake and that we've never been out there to prove it without using the following words: computer, government, and conspiracy. Good point. That is hard to find an argument that doesn't include those three things.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of like the flat earthers toolkit is like
right.
Conspiracy.
But I mean, there is there's. It is true. Yeah, I mean, now that is kind of a challenge. Like, I feel like that could be a drinking game. Find a flat Earth conspiracy that doesn't include those three words.
Right.
Take a drink. There it is. All right, that was Christopher. Great comment. All right, this next one.
This is the brain buster.
This is the brain buster. All right, so this is Ian Sims talking about Starman and his Tesla Roadster journeying out beyond Mars, which we do have an article up about that. They are talking about Starman, Elon's mannequin in a car.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, where he's at right now, I believe, heading out to the asteroid belt. But here's what Ian says. Check your math. 0.346 of an astronomical unit is closer than 32 million miles. Ian, I did check the math.
You did?
One astronomical unit is 93 million miles.
Okay.
0.346 is right about 32 million miles. It's just a little bit over that. So, technically, Ian, you're completely wrong. That's all I'm saying.
Sorry, Ian.
The math didn't add up in a 0.346 of 93 million miles. It's actually 32.1 something. So, there it is. I proved you wrong. See, Ian, this is what you get. All right. I just really wanted to prove that one wrong. All right. Moving on, we've got Daryl, who said regarding the Apple Mac Mini 2018 hands-on review. Question: hands-on review, dude? I couldn't even see your hands.
Dude.
I agree. That was a pretty good one. That's a pretty good one. I like that one. That's going straight for the pun on it, and also the dude added in.
The dude is like perfect.
The dude is what really accents that.
Dude, Daryl. Thanks, dude.
Thanks, dude. All right, and we've got two more we're going to take a look at. So this is Dregs at Official Dregs. And regarding at Digital Trends, does privacy need to survive in the future? I'll gladly take my privacy over the nosy-ass companies. Go poach someone else's data. Morons. I like that morons is
The
added
morons
in there.
is a nice touch at
It
the
really
end.
is. If you really want to hammer something home, make your point understood and clear, add a morons in there.
Or ding-dongs. That's my other favorite.
Ding dongs is a great one.
It's a very good
That
one.
needs to be making a comeback. I was just talking to somebody about that the other day. Like, ding dongs is solid.
Solid insult.
It's a solid insult. It's not too insulting. It's like, it's such a ding dong. Like, yeah, it's a really good one. I like that. So ding dongs, that's how we'd fix your tweet there. All right. The last one that we have is from Blair Slavin regarding the iPad Pro 2018 hands-on review.
Dude.
Do you want to read this one?
Dude, your job is showing off products under the camera. Manicure. It's tax deductible.
Ouch, man.
Kissy face.
Ouch, Blair. That's a rough one. I mean, I didn't do that one. I'm not sure who did the hands-on review
Scorching.
of the iPad Pro 2018. We may be talking to that person here in just a little bit.
We may be getting them a manicure today.
There may be manicures involved. I mean, usually I would think you'd pay more attention to the product, but I guess we'll have to perhaps ask that person. About the manicure involved in the iPad Pro. I love how it's nothing about like the actual review.
I know, I love it. People are really focused on the
all the time that goes into like going over these products, but the manicure, that was the one.
hands. Yeah,
All right.
dude.
Actually, don't do a close-up of my hands right now that I'm looking at them.
Or mine. My manicures. pretty
Yeah, all right. Yeah, sorry. We'll work on the manicures, Blair. All right, let's continue on with our news segment. So we did already talk about Elon Musk and the Boringcompany and his tunnel. Some other trending stories right now. This one comes from Nintendo. Nintendo almost always in the news for something lately. But this has to do with more mobile games coming for phones, phone gaming. And the topic is that Legend of Zelda and Donkey Kong might possibly be arriving for Nintendo Mobile. So the report is that there's 2 trademarks that came out, and the 2 games they're talking about going to mobile are Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks and Mario vs. Donkey Kong. And so the patent is filed as a program for home video game machines, downloadable video game programs, and programs for smartphones. So, Adrian, let me ask you this. Did you play either of these 2 games previously?
I played a little bit of Spirit Tracks on the DS. I don't think I played Mario vs. Donkey Kong because the Game Boy Advance is, I never had one of those, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I think this is really exciting. I mean, honestly, I could see both of them doing really well. It's kind of curious, though, why those specific games. I feel like there's bigger titles out there that people would be more interested in porting over to the smartphone.
Right. Yeah, but these are the 2 that they're talking about, and we're showing a little bit of Donkey Kong, or Mario versus Donkey Kong right there as far as that. But yeah, Legend of Zelda originally in Nintendo DS and the Wii U. Mario versus Donkey Kong out on a few different platforms. I guess people are very excited about this coming to the mobile phone, but to me, aren't there just other games out there that you can play? I don't know. I don't know if it's that big of a deal to me.
It's kind of a big deal just because Nintendo publishes their games exclusively on Nintendo platforms. So the fact that it's coming over to iPhone and it's more accessible for people who don't want to buy a Nintendo machine for just a couple of games is kind of a big deal.
Okay. All right.
And that could open up the door to more Zelda, more Mario, et cetera, et cetera.
Smartphone games that you can actually play. All right, I kind of like that idea. But that's the news anyway. The patents are out, so it sounds like those 2 games are going to be coming to mobile. Taking a look at some of the comments, your ding dong comment really took off. So on YouTube, Red Raccoon ding dongs. And Digital Trans, Red Raccoon, all the ding dongs. So there's some ding dongs going back and forth. Also, somebody just said space is a hoax.
Whoa.
Space is a hoax.
Whoa.
So there we go. Again, prove that theory without saying, what is it, computers?
Computer, government.
Or conspiracy.
Right.
Okay, so give us your reason space is a hoax, not using those 3 words. And maybe we'll believe you. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
use
possible.
some math.
Use some math in there, yeah. All right, we got a couple of stories left that we want to hit. This topic apparently is never going to leave trending news forever.
It's just going to keep coming up.
Has to do with the foldable phone battle, of which there's really only one out to market right now. Foldable phones, Samsung, now obviously they have their developers conference, which is coming up later this week. I believe Julian might be talking a little bit about that. And with this, Samsung is fighting back because there was the Royal foldable smartphone that came out last week. It's interesting.
Clunky.
It looked clunky, but it's a mobile. It's technically it's a foldable phone with a foldable screen. Samsung now releasing, this was what they put out, I believe, last night or this morning, a foldable logo of Samsung to showcase they're not backing down on this. So yes, technically, if you read it, that is what it would read. And what this has to do is they have their developers conference coming up later this week, and it's long been rumored. I mean, not even rumored. They basically said that they're going to be showcasing probably how the UI works, how the operating system works for this thing. Now I'm wondering, though, with all of the other companies talking about foldable phones, if we get to actually see a device.
That's true, because I mean, there's so many rumors flying around. It sounds like the one that they're currently talking about has a 7.3-inch display on the inside and then a 4-inch display on the outside. So you'll actually be getting two screens, even though it's a foldable design. So will we see more of that, or are we just going to see people using something that you can't really?
I mean, at this point, what's the point of continuing to push this off and being, and not actually just showing it? I mean, the cat's out of the bag. Somebody else already had it. You're making a foldable phone. We get it. And usually, they want to wait for the big reveals at CES. It's probably coming
what
up
they're
in
gearing
January.
up for, yeah.
But at this point, why not just show it?
Yeah.
I mean, I would think that if you're that close to announcing it anyway. Granted, I don't work for marketing for Samsung, so it's full disclaimer. But it does seem like that would be a good idea to me.
Do you think that their developers conference would be big enough to actually show the device, though? Would that be a big
I think it would
event?
be if they showed it.
Yeah.
They could get a lot of press off of that. I think definitely. But we'll have Julian on here in a minute. Maybe he can attest to some of that and let us know what he thinks is going to happen as far as that. But Samsung fighting back with their foldable logo. All right, last story that we want to hit here before we're going to be throwing over to New York, to our New York studio, where Julian and Jeremy are going to be joining us, is coming from Amazon. Leading up to Black Friday, we're going to see a lot of Amazon news. There's a lot of coverage here at Digital Trends about Black Friday. And this, though, is something that I feel like is gearing up for the holidays, but it's talking about Amazon and a program they're testing out called Amazon Day. And it's not just a single day, it's a concept called Amazon Day, where essentially you could choose, the concept of Amazon Day, where you could choose what day of the week you want all of your items delivered. So say you're ordering like 10 different items, but you don't want to have to be there, or you're worried about something getting stolen.
Right.
You can pick one day that everything's delivered.
A lot of times, you're ordering 10 different items, and they're all coming from 10 different distribution centers or 10 different sellers, and you want to consolidate them into one. I feel like that's already an option when you order your stuff, is to get less packages, and I guess they're just making it into one package this time.
Okay. I didn't even realize you could do that, to be honest.
Yeah, I think there's like an option when you're going into the checkout where you can say, would you like things as soon as they come out in different boxes, or would you like to consolidate into one?
Or whether you
bigger
want to
box?
consolidate them. Okay.
So I'm not quite sure how different this is in that option already, but we'll see.
We'll see how it works, and maybe it's where sometimes maybe they can't do it, or they're going to specifically do it, and maybe it's just that it comes on that specific day.
I like
maybe that's
that.
the other option.
I like the option of like, hey, I work, Monday through Friday, and maybe I want my stuff delivered on a Saturday.
Right, and that's when you want it to come. So Amazon Day, it's rolling out for a few different people right now, have it, I guess, that have just showed up so they can test that out. But a lot of them, I don't know if we'll see this as a wide expanse or not.
Right.
The other thing is that Amazon also, and I just saw this right before we went on air, they've also announced that they are removing the minimum order requirement for free delivery for everybody.
That's huge.
For non-Prime customers as well. Which, for a lot of people, that was kind of the big deal of why you got Prime.
Why you got Prime is for the free shipping.
Free delivery, yeah, because if you order enough, it does pay for itself.
So I wonder if we're going to see a drop-off in subscriptions for Prime.
Well, they are saying it's not going to be a permanent thing. It's going to end up starting, I guess, from right now up until just before Christmas. So they can guarantee, you get the deliveries by Christmas, and then it would go back to normal. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. For me, I'm kind of thinking, like, why don't I just cancel for the next couple of months? I mean, at this point, I would save money.
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
It, so.
Maybe they do have a heart.
Yeah, no, no, let's not go that far. Those are the two things talking about Amazon, about where they are at. All right, well, coming up here on DT Daily, like I said, we're going to be joined by Chris Dixon to talk about Pencil and everything's going on with him, and really fascinating story. We've got Ryan Juanita, who is going to be joining us to talk about his interview with Jermaine Clement, Jermaine Clement.
That's so big.
What We Do in the Shadows, Flight of the Conchords, Jermaine Clement. We're going to be playing part of that interview, an exclusive part, right here on DT Daily later today. But now it is time for us to head to our New York studio, where we're going to be joined by Julian Trocatu, Jeremy Kaplan, talking about the OnePlus 6T, the iPad Pro, and Samsung. Hello, Julian and Jeremy.
Thanks very much, Greg. Pleasure to be here with you. Appreciate the time on DT Daily, coming to you live from New York. I'm here with Julian, of course. Julian, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am fantastic.
It's a nice crisp day.
Yeah, a crisp day in November, and thank God that Techtober, the most horrible month of the year, is finally over.
This is definitely true. It's probably the busiest October, which, you know, as we all are calling it Techtober, that I've ever seen. Just what was like 10 phones that came out in the last month. It was
astonishing.
Yeah, a little ridiculous.
And can we just say to the world, to you, to the tech community, to everyone in general, let's just ban the word Techtober, which is stupid. It's just a terrible phrase. I don't want to use it anymore.
Well, there were a lot of phones, starting with some of the biggest ones, which was the iPhone XR, which we talked about a couple weeks ago. But one specific phone I wanted to talk about today is the OnePlus 6T, which you can see right here. This phone came out on November 2nd, which was last Friday. And there's a reason why this one is a particularly special launch. So for those people that don't know, OnePlus is basically this Chinese company that has been selling affordable flagship killer phones, which is the name because they offer the specs that you would find in a Galaxy S9, for example, for the price of like, $500 something. So
And
that's
really resonate with consumers. Well, not with consumers so much, but with the technology crowd, I would
yes.
say.
There's a very strong OnePlus community because these are all the techie people that love this phone because you get such great performance, but at a much cheaper price tag. So what's great about it is that you could buy it, and so far they've been selling a lot of these phones in the U.S. and they are $500 something, and they're available on AT&T and T-Mobile. So for that's pretty great and all, but at the same time you can't really expect a lot of people to be able to get this phone because a lot of people are on Verizon and Sprint. Now with the big news with the OnePlus 6T is that they got a T-Mobile partnership. So for the first time, they are now going to be in stores, brick and mortar stores, 5,600 locations across the United States, and that's going to help them massively improve their brand recognition and just get their name out there. A lot of people are going to be able to go to the store and see the phone in person, decide whether they want to buy it like that. And the other big news is that they got Verizon network support. So now you have access to 100 something million people to be able to use this phone as well in America. So basically this is now the best choice at a mid-range price, but for a flagship phone. So $550 is what the OnePlus 6T costs, and basically.
So that Verizon change though, and the carrier changes. This is huge because that's how people in America buy phones, right? Prior to that, if you wanted a OnePlus phone, you had to buy it through the website?
Yeah, OnePlus's website. I think you were from some other sites.
Or you could fly to Brazil and pick one up and then fly back.
Yeah, they've definitely been available in America, but only through OnePlus's website. And that is just not how most Americans buy. Maybe internationally something like that, but in America, you go to a carrier store, you go to a brick and mortar store like Best Buy, any store, and then you see a phone. Or generally you try to buy it through a carrier, and having that carrier partnership with T-Mobile is an amazing deal, and they also are offering this crazy deal where you can get the phone for half off if you trade in an eligible phone, and they have a lot of eligible phones, so that's bringing down the price.
Well, let me ask you the million-dollar question here. So it's got all the flagship features, it's classy looking, it's beautiful as hell, and it's affordable. Do we think this is a great phone? Is this something people should be rushing out and looking for instead of I don't know, the Apple iPhone, whatever it is?
Well, it depends. So if you're going to buy an iPhone, chances are you're probably going to buy an iPhone. There's a strong reason to buy it, especially if you get features like, iMessage. People don't want the green
People love the
bubble,
iMessage,
whatever.
of course.
But if you're looking for a good Android phone and your budget isn't, if you don't want to pay more than $700, you don't want to pay too little as well for a super cheap phone, then this is probably the best choice in a smartphone you can get. I think it ticks almost all the boxes. I think one of the only weaknesses that we've really seen is that the camera is not amazing. It's still a pretty good camera for $550, but it's not going to blow your mind.
I have a theory that people don't use the cameras on smartphones to the extent that manufacturers would like them to. There are these great features that let us take really fantastic pictures, but I don't know, personally speaking, I like taking pictures. I do it all the time. And I take terrible pictures in spite of the great camera that I get. Well, maybe I'm not using the features properly, or maybe it's just me. I don't know.
One thing I realize is that people take a lot of pictures on their phones. It's just that not a lot of people really care about looking at that picture in a large screen, on your I don't take a photo. Well, I do, but most people don't take a photo and then look at it on their big screen monitor. Chances are, it's going to look not as good on that monitor because you're blowing up the photo, but on your phone, when you're sharing it to Instagram and you're sharing it to Facebook, most people are browsing those apps through their phones, so they look pretty good on the phone. Like, you're going to probably be more than satisfied with the photos taken with this camera, but overall, I think it's just an excellent value package for $550.
Keep your eyes out. OnePlus in a store near you soon.
That is true, yeah.
Also in a store near you soon, a new iPad.
Yes, the iPad Pro, which we'll be taking a look at very, very soon. It's coming out on November, whatever Wednesday is. I believe that's November 7th, yes.
Yeah.
So coming out on November 7th, it's got a much higher price tag, I believe $800 for the starting price. But
Up
Apple,
$200.
Up to, yeah, and also the bigger version is the $1,000. So generally way more expensive than before, but Apple is really now, for the first time, I feel like, even at the event, they were just positioning this thing as your laptop replacement. Like, they were comparing it to computers, they were comparing it to the Xbox, like comparing it to like all these other things that are just more different than what you'd expect an iPad Pro to be.
What Apple said at the event was that they sell more iPads than any other laptop manufacturer sells of their entire line of laptops. So they sell more iPads than HP Spectres, for example.
Yeah.
Or Dell Dimensions or Latitudes.
And there's no question that this isn't going to be a very powerful iPad. You're going to be able to do all the things that you want to do that you can on a laptop. I think the real problem that a lot of people have been saying in some of these early reviews is that it's still an iPad in that the operating system doesn't lend itself to being a desktop replacement as perfectly as, say, a Chromebook or...
Even with the keyboard and the pencil?
Right. I mean, the pencil, everyone's saying, is definitely way better, and I can see that too. It's just such an easy pair and process, and it just magnetically snaps onto the iPad. It just overall is a great implementation for creative people, but chances are if you're trying to use this for a desktop replacement, you're probably not going to use that pencil too much unless you're, avid drawer. But the keyboard should be okay. It's still more like the operating system, just, it's like a phone OS. It's not as usable day-to-day or quickly, I'd say, as say, Mac OS or Windows. So,
in spite of the effort that Apple makes to position these things, I feel like tablets have come to this point where, you remember when they first came out, especially when Steve Jobs first unveiled the iPad, and he said, well, it's occupying this special niche between laptops and phones. It's a third use case thing. And maybe it was true at the time, but I feel like increasingly consumers don't need that niche. I find myself personally, I sit on the couch watching TV with my laptop on my lap or with my phone in my hand. And I don't necessarily need the tablet to be that third-party space.
Right.
I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I think that's why this is an $800 to $1,000 device. It's clearly going for a group of people that don't really want to shell out on a full-size laptop. They want something that can still be portable. You take it off, you can walk around the house or wherever you are drawing and using it as a normal tablet. If you want just that kind of tablet experience, buy the $330 iPad, which is perfectly fine for most people, and it has Apple Pencil support. But if you want something more powerful, this is definitely the tool for a very specific group of people. I think it's a great product overall. It's just that, will it completely be able to replace your laptop? I think so for most people, but you won't be as satisfied as you might be using like a traditional Mac OS.
I just find that marketing really interesting because, buy the high-end iPad Pro, run the specs up, add the LTE in, include the keyboard and the pencil. You can get a $2,200 iPad these days. And so Apple's saying it's a laptop replacement makes a lot of sense, strictly because of the cost of this damn thing. Like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And the laptop at the end of the day is probably just going to be more capable given the limitations of iOS. I don't know. We'll come back to you soon with the review. We'll have a full review, just a matter of days at Digital Trends. Meantime, before we cut away, one last thing I wanted to ask you about. I know that Greg was mentioning it earlier. Foldable screens at long last. Oh my God, we've been talking about these things for, I don't know, freaking 5 years now, 6, 10 years if you're in the industry. But it sounds kind of like some big companies are actually going to start doing these.
Yeah, so Samsung's developer conference is this week. We've been hearing these reports on the Samsung foldable phone forever. Finally might be actually hearing, there's a lot of leaks today and yesterday about seeing a potential device at Samsung's developer conference. Or I think it's probably just going to be a teaser. They probably want to get developers on board now to help them develop apps and that kind of stuff for that foldable display, which makes sense why they're potentially going to tease it. If it's a full announcement, that's kind of weird because it's such a strange time to do that because you got CES in like a month or so. So I think it's going to be a slight tease. Maybe they'll talk about the fact that they are working on it and an operating system, but I don't think we're going to actually see this product at the show. I just don't really get foldable phones. Like I understand them. Like
It's not to get it. Are you
like,
kidding me?
well, I get
I
it.
keep
So
a 6.5-inch phone in my pocket, and every time I walk, I take a step, I'm like, this thing is too damn big.
I'm sure I will come around to it. I just need to see more implementations of it because it just seems like the way you can carry this super thick phone, it's still thick. It's going to be thick no matter what because, you know, it's still a display that you got to fold in half, and I feel like the technology is not going to be super there yet by the time Samsung's
That's
going to...
for sure. But to me, it just solves a very obvious problem. The stuff that's going into my pants is too big.
Sure.
These phones are just too gigantic. I can't handle that. So fold it in half, make
Right,
it small.
and I think, yes, eventually I think the technology will be amazing. I just still think we're maybe a little too early to see a full functioning prototype. I mean, maybe Samsung has something, but I think there's going to be a lot of kinks to it. So
I think we're going to see a lot at CES. I think the talk of CES is going to be foldable phones. You heard it here first. Coming up in January 2019 at CES, foldable screens everywhere.
yeah, LG is going to probably have a foldable phone too. So a lot of foldable phones.
Are we going back to the studio or are we cutting commercial?
I'm not sure.
Let's assume that we're going back to the studio. So I'm going to toss it back over to Greg in Portland. We have plenty more coming at you live from Digital Trends, so stick with us.
Jeremy and Julian, yeah, talking about foldable phones. I mean, I do agree. I think it's going to be the big thing at CES this year. Just judging by how much companies are really pushing it, I still don't know, because I do kind of agree with Julian. Like, I don't know how many people are really that interested in them, and that is kind of a question I want to propose to everybody who's watching live. Like, are you excited about foldable phones, or is it just because they're just telling you that foldable phones are going to be a thing? You know, is this something that you're really clamoring for? And let us know in the comments, again, you know, live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch, and let us know what you think and whether you think this is something that you actually want and see a use for, or is it more just kind of, oh, that's neat, but until I see it in action, there's not a lot that can really be done with it. Let's see, Mutation666 on YouTube just said, cases with foldable phones will be interesting. That's true. The case industries, the phone case industry has got to be kind of interested in this to figure out how to wrap something around that. I didn't even think about it from that prospect. Yeah, that's actually something that would be curious to see how they handle that. Coming up on today's show, we're still going to be joined by Chris Dixon here in just a little bit to talk about Pencil and everything he does in the shoe designing industry and what their academy does. Really, really cool stuff. And we've got Ryan Juanita, who's going to be joining to talk about his interview with Jermaine Clement. We've got an exclusive bit of that we're going to be playing on here, about 5 minutes of his interview with Jemaine and talking about his article that's going to be coming back up. Jemaine I get really excited, so I can only imagine how Ryan handled it. But, you know, if you watch What We Do in the Shadows, if you watch Flight of the Conchords, Jermaine Clement here on DT Daily. A little bit of a tape delay, but nonetheless, we're still going to be playing part of that on here. So going back through and taking a look at what some of the news was today, just to kind of recap and bring you up to date on your headlines, we did have this, Elon Musk, the Boringcompany, releasing a video of what it's like going through the tunnel in LA. He has actually built a tunnel, apparently. And, I mean, he's been saying that he was going to build a tunnel. He's been saying they were working on this, but releasing a video of himself going through it, and December 10th is going to be the day where there's a grand opening for this. It's a test tunnel, but it's about 2 miles long, located southwest of LA, and supposedly the public's going to be offered free rides along the track on December 10th. That, to me, is a really, really big story. If he really does pull this off, and as promised, it goes through on December 10th. People can line up, or I'm assuming maybe there'll be a drawing of some kind or something like that where you can line up and go for a ride on his tunnel. That's a pretty big news story because that is something that he's proving from this random tweet that he did a couple of years ago talking about how maybe I'll just make a company to build tunnels and call it the Boringcompany. And now it's come to fruition. He has his flamethrowers, but now we have some actual tunnels that are in place. And I'm curious for everybody watching, is that something you are interested in? I think if it's anything that could control traffic, I think it's a really good idea. I think it'd be underutilized down there. Is it going to be safe? One of the questions that was brought up earlier was just about the earthquake idea. It's LA. there's a lot of earthquakes. I mean, I think the Boring Company is interesting. I think the Hyperloop would be far more fascinating to me. That's what I would like to see, which the Hyperloop is the magnetic levitation system of travel that he came up with where it would go through a tunnel. And not just him. There's a couple other companies working on it as well. I think if you could use that for the Hyperloop, I'm in. Because then you're talking about the idea, I think it was like a half-hour trip from LA to San Francisco. They talked about it even here in the Northwest. We're in Portland. And it would be like getting to Seattle, I think, in like 15, 20 minutes. Like, if you can develop something along those lines, great. I don't care whether it's in a tunnel or not. But nonetheless, that is what he announced. So the Boring Company, with that coming out, taking a look at a couple of the other topics that we did cover earlier today. I did want to bounce back to the Amazon idea, which is this, Amazon Day. So Amazon Day is apparently rolling out to some accounts. I don't know the rhyme or reason to the accounts. It may be a little bit random or they're testing certain areas. But the idea is this, that you can pick one single day a week where all your deliveries would show up. So if you're using Amazon a lot and you're getting deliveries all the time at random days, random times, this would be something that maybe you could actually pick specifically your day when you want that to come through. So just kind of taking a look at some of those things. There's a lot to cover on that, and we're going to go ahead and tell you more about that later on. But we've got our special guest, Chris Dixon, who's going to be joining us here in just a few minutes. So why don't we do this? We're going to go to a quick break, and we're going to come back with Chris, talk about Pencil and everything else that's going on with that, right back here with more DT Daily. Back here with more DT Daily. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in live on YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, and Facebook. So we take your comments and questions. And right now, we are joined by Chris Dixon of Pencil. Hello, Chris.
How you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for hopping in the studio with us.
Thanks for having me.
So let's just start off with maybe just a basic learning lesson for everybody in case they don't know what Pencil is.
Pencil is a footwear academy based in Portland, but it's extended to apparel and also color material.
So for a footwear academy, are we talking about like this is somebody that could go there and learn from the basic beginning, or is it you're already in design and helps accent your education, or?
If you have interest, if you have interest in design, and you got some skills, maybe a raw talent, then Pencil is a place to actually get you like on the process of learning the process and sharpening those skills. Yeah, sharpening the skills.
Well, and here, since we are live in Portland, this is basically the footwear capital of at least the U.S., just because there's so many different companies here.
Without a doubt.
Adidas, Nike, Columbia, Keen, I'm sure I'm forgetting some.
Nah, you on point.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm like, is Under Armour here too now?
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, so Under Armour too?
Yep.
Yeah, so you've got all of that here, so it makes sense that you would have like something like this with Academy. So let's talk about you. How did you get into design?
Man, I started designing sneakers when I was like 7th grade. Just
Wow.
because I didn't get the ones that I wanted. I got like 2 pair of shoes for the whole year. So I was big into basketball. It was a big basketball fan.
What was your favorite one?
My favorite basketball player?
No, well,
Or
we can talk
shoe?
about that forever. But shoe.
My favorite shoe of all time is the Nike Flight Posit 1.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the shoe that that made me say, who did this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you actually wanted to learn more about it, other than like, oh man,
Yeah.
this
Like
thing
somebody
looks awesome,
actually
but-
did had to draw this.
Yeah, came up with this idea.
Yeah.
And put it on there. And so 7th grade, you're creating your own designs.
Mm-hmm.
Have any of those ever come to fruition?
No, it was just a hobby. I didn't even
Yeah.
know it was a real job. You
Yeah.
know, it was just like, I can't get these shoes, so I'm gonna just draw them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that type of deal.
So you go from that. Then how did you get into the industry? How'd you get into the business?
Just persistence. I had these hoop dreams, and at the end of my college career, I had the opportunity to either go play overseas or continue in design.
Nice.
So I end up staying with it, and one of my best friends is first cousins with Serena Williams.
What? No way.
Yeah, so I asked.
That's a nice in.
Yeah, so my whole senior year was just focusing on having this great portfolio.
Yeah.
And I asked him could he show Serena, and she was like, yeah.
What?
So I had
No way.
Yeah, so I had an opportunity to sit down with her and show her my work, and she basically said she didn't have any power to get me into Nike,
Right.
but she did have a new thing that she wanted to start. So I got my first opportunity with Serena Williams.
That is so cool.
And
Wow.
it was women's fashion, so it was one of those things where it's have you ever designed high heels? I'm like no.
Yeah, it's not something
But
I've ever thought about.
let's try it,
Yeah.
So, I tried it. I did it for a year with her, and her HSN line just boom. So Anira's just fell off, but I got that experience.
That's really cool. So designing, high heel shoes, that's a completely different concept than basketball shoes.
Yes, it is.
I mean,
it is.
that's
It's definitely
even just
definitely
structurally, you have the engineering side of it.
different. Right, right. It was really cool because it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Everything's so traditional. It gave me a new opportunity to approach it. Yeah.
Well, with that, so you went from there, and then you got into designing other shoes.
Yeah. So after Serena's job, I entered a competition called Future Soul. That was when Dwayne was still at Jordan Brand.
Nice.
And I ended up winning that competition, and that kind of got me up under his wing. That's when he invited me to Penso for the first time. And I told him what I was working on, which was this dual heel that I had with Serena. And he just wanted to take me in as a mentee, and it's been on ever since.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about what you got right here.
So fast forward to 2017, I took a break from, the women's high heels, and I entered the World Sneaker Championship, which is an international competition. And, you have a chance to submit one design, and it's almost like the March Madness of shoes.
Yeah. Oh, and then there's just
It's
whole
brackets, a
bracket.
tournament. Yeah.
Oh,
it's
damn.
The top 64 of the world, and
Is there a ranking system?
yes, it's
Really?
not.
It is
It's not really a ranking system. It's
Yeah.
just kind of random.
But there's kind of your favorites or whatever.
Yeah, you have to have people vote for you for the favorite. So that's the hard part.
Damn, but you won it.
Yeah, it was.
You
it
beat
was,
out all these other people.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was pretty
That's
crazy.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so the winning design was supposed to go to Foot Locker, and you win $20K and a lot of products from Wacom.
So you're talking about these are major companies that are entering this too.
No, it was just all your design peers.
Okay.
So it's just everybody that that's doing something is you're up against them.
You're going
But
against all those.
It's also a camaraderie thing because everybody's cheering for you at the same time they're competing.
Right.
Because you still have your favorite designers that's your
Yeah.
friends or whatever. But it was a cool experience.
And so, what was it about this shoe that walk us through the process of designing this one?
This one was so at the time I was in between my venture. I just wanted to step away. I just wanted to do something creative, and this was an opportunity. But I had no team. I was doing everything on my own with this venture, and it's I want to be back at Penso. I wanted to have that team feel. So I was like, man, what if I did a shoe that's inspired by the Penso experience?
Yeah.
And it was around February, with Dwayne. I feel like he's a person that needs to be celebrated as far as Black history. So that was my focus, was just like, let's create a Black History Month inspired shoe that ties the modern to the classic. You know, that's why
bridge that gap.
Yeah, so that's why it's like a slip on, kind of like the whole knit game these days with the laces. The laces go to the back.
I mean, it looks amazing, and I will say it does look comfortable.
Super comfortable. I got the lightest EVA compound that Vibram offers. They haven't used it yet, so it's super special to me. I've been wear testing it for the last 3 months, and it's really an all-day shoe. Not being biased at all.
Yeah.
It's really, really comfortable.
It's good for everything.
Yes.
So when is this going to be available for people to pick up?
Yeah. So during Sneaker Week, we did a dojo experience. So this is called the dojo. That's a nickname for the Pensole Footwear Academy. We did a experience where people can actually see the process.
Walk through how it worked.
Make their own colorway, and then try it on and then pre-order. So we're about to deliver the pre-orders in the next week or so.
Wow.
And then we're going to launch the constant development at the top of the year.
So this is a big couple of weeks for you.
Oh yeah, this is a dream come true, man. From 7th grade to drawing sneakers, like to actually having it made and being able to let other people enjoy it.
Well, congratulations. I mean, that's so awesome.
I appreciate it.
To walk through all that. So where can people follow what you do? Follow along.
Oh man, Chris Dixon NC on Instagram, and right now, Constant Development is developing.
So Constant Development's your company.
Yeah, that's my company. So this is a pencil shoe, and then it'll venture off into its own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you've got your own stuff in the works.
Yes, definitely working.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Chris, thank you so much for coming by and talking about this.
Thanks for having me.
It's an
man.
inspiring story. Where did you go to college?
I went to Harding University.
Okay, Harding University. All right.
Yes,
So you
small college.
played basketball for Harding?
Yeah.
Nice.
I played basketball, and art was my first love.
Yeah.
Then I just got tired of the business of basketball.
Yeah.
So follow my heart. Yeah.
There it is, 7th grade to right now.
Yes, sir.
Releasing your shoe next week, dude.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I appreciate it.
That's awesome, Chris. Thanks so much for joining us, too.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, everybody tuning in DT Daily, thank you for hopping in with us. We're going to be back here in a minute with Ryan Juanita, who's going to be talking about his interview with Jermaine Clement. We're going to play an exclusive clip of that, so if you have questions for Ryan about Jermaine, drop those into the chat, and we'll be back here in a second with more DT Daily. All right, back here with more DT Daily, joined by Mr. Ryan Juanita.
What's up?
Hey, Ryan, how's it going?
It's going all right.
It's going all right. Well, we are going to talk about your awesome interview that you got to have
Yeah.
with Jermaine Clement.
Yes, I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
I gushed a little bit during the interview,
Yeah.
but you got to be sincere.
Right.
I was
You got to be honest with
I'm
it.
not going to pretend I'm not super into his stuff, so.
Yeah. Oh, who are you again?
Yeah, that
boy
movie's
with it.
okay, I guess.
I mean, yeah, I don't pay much
Look,
attention.
integrity,
Flight
journalistic
of something,
integrity.
whatever. Yes.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
dude, you're Jermaine Clement.
Yep.
And in case you don't know, Jermaine Clement, obviously from Flight of the Conchords, What We Do in the Shadows. I mean,
He also,
a
most
million
people
things.
probably know him from a lot of his voice acting, like in Rio
That
or
too.
Moana. He was like the crab in Moana and stuff like that. He always like shows up and does some like
Yeah.
razzle dazzle comedy, and everybody's like,
Yeah.
"Who's that guy? He was funny."
yeah.
But yeah, I've been following some Flight of the Conchords, which is a very fun little.
Oh, Flight of the
project.
Conchords is great, actually. So,
Yeah.
so you got to talk to him, and we've got a
Yeah.
video that we're going to play here in a minute. Jermaine's not on the video, but he's live in the interview.
Right.
So what was it that he's working on? What were you
I
talking
mean, he has a ton of stuff going on right now. So like he has his on again, off again thing with Brett McKenzie with Flight of the Conchords. They just did with Brit. They just did a live show for HBO live in London, which you can watch right now. He was just in this really weird movie called An Evening with Beverly Loughlin. I seriously don't know if I've ever seen anything like it at all.
we took a look at the trailer for that.
It's so
and,
odd that he is like the most normal person in it. And I talk about that on the show or on the interview, and he's like, I never really thought about that, but you're right. And in any other movie, he would have been the weirdo. but like, there's so many weirdos in this movie.
he's the normal guy.
Yeah, and then he's also got these 2 TV shows that he's doing. One is in New Zealand only, but it looks really fun. I think it's called Wellington Paranormal, and the other one is an American version of What We Do in the Shadows, his and Taika Waititi's vampire mockumentary.
Yeah, which
And-
if you haven't seen What We Do in the Shadows,
Yeah.
it's so good.
Yeah, it's freaking, it's one of the best mockumentaries since Spinal Tap, and I say that
Yeah.
in the interview.
And I agree. That's a lot of competition to go through.
If not the
to get to
best.
there,
Yeah, I
but
mean, it's pretty
yeah.
much all Christopher Guest and then this one.
Right. Yeah.
As far as I'm
Yeah,
concerned.
yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it's just really, really fun. And we've gotten a couple of teasers of the TV show, like a couple 20-second teasers is all
Yeah.
it is, and it's already hilarious.
And I already want to watch
There's
it.
like, you can't throw an ancient coin at me, sir. He's like chucks a 1,000-year-old coin at the
I mean,
checkout
the concept
clerk.
seems like it would be so dumb, and it is, but it's so funny.
Yeah, it
So
really
good.
is.
So let's go ahead and do this. We're going to play just a few minutes of the interview. So you've got a whole article, the entire article's coming out.
Yeah, it should be out either today or tomorrow. We got
Okay.
the whole, basically the whole interview, and then we also have our podcast you can download, which has
Yep.
the entire recorded interview. It's like 16 minutes worth of
Yeah.
Jermaine Clement's
Yeah.
hijinks and such.
Which that's on Between the Streams, so you
Yes.
can download that podcast and get the full thing. Let's go ahead and play part of this interview right now. So this is just a segment of it, but it's Ryan Juanita talking to Jermaine Clement.
I'm gonna change shirts.
Oh yeah.
So we talked to Reese Darby a while back, and we talked about the We're Wolves project when it was in its early stages, which is that sequel to What We Do in the Shadows. Any idea what's going on with that project? So we talked to Reese Darby a while back, and we talked about the We're Wolves project when it was in its early stages, which is that sequel to What We Do in the Shadows. Any idea what's going on with that project?
We haven't done anything on that project because Clark and I have mostly been working separately, and I'm in Toronto right now filming the American adaptation of What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show.
Right. Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question.
I've been working. Yeah, I've been working on that, and I did another show in New Zealand, which is also related to What We Do in the Shadows. We had no idea that we were going to end up doing two, spin-offs from that film. We thought we would do one sequel, and then we've ended up doing two other things that kind of took us by surprise, but have been really fun.
I mean, that's one of my favorite mockumentaries. I think it's the best one since Spinal Tap. Are you guys still planning a sequel?
Thanks.
Absolutely.
We haven't really been planning anything. I've been working on. So Tucker and I made a pilot at the start of the year for the American version, which I'm really happy with. I wrote it and Tucker directed it. Now I'm
Nice.
directing a few episodes of this, and then Tucker comes. We haven't been, we've kind of been working separately on the same thing.
That's awesome. Well, so you are.
We haven't had time to also do any planning on that film idea.
Gotcha. But you are going to be in the TV show as well?
It's possible.
It's possible. Okay.
I'm not telling.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be watching it one way or another.
The TV show is not about our characters.
Right.
It's about different characters that live in America.
I got you. Okay. Well, that worked out for The Office, so it seems like that's a good idea.
Well, The Office, the Office is kind of the same characters with different names.
That's true, I guess.
Just,
That's a good point.
I think we put it in a little bit more thought than The Office did. But yeah.
Yeah, that's good then.
It's like, oh, what shall Tim be called? Oh, Jim.
Yeah, exactly.
I like both those shows, though.
I did have a question though about Legion. I know your character Oliver.
There are going to be some teasers on. I think it could be tomorrow night even on
really?
FX.
Really?
For the new show.
That's amazing.
I think
Okay.
so, for Halloween.
Awesome.
Is it Halloween tomorrow?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't celebrate Halloween, so I never know when it is.
So that's for Legion, or for What We Do in the Shadows.
No, for the What We Do in the Shadows USA.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Yeah, I was just going to ask real quick. So your character Oliver got a huge, got a big bump in Legion's second season. So I have two questions. One, was this always planned, or was it your Ice Cube scene, Ice Cube episode that nailed it? And also, two, do you know which turntable they used in that movie? I thought maybe you would, since you're a musician, or in that TV show.
It's a turntable, isn't it? I didn't read what the model was.
No.
I don't know if it was always planned. I actually didn't know what Legion was when I signed up to it. I just knew I liked Noah Hawley's work.
Yeah,
From
absolutely.
watching Fargo.
Yeah, it's such a cool character that you play.
It wasn't even called. Yeah, it wasn't called Legion when they sent it to me because they kind of protect the name and then keep it secret, and they have a kind of code name. So they give me the code name, so I didn't even know that it was a Marvel property or anything like that.
It's super fun, the character that you bring to the table, because you have to play sort of.
It is fun, yeah.
He doesn't quite know what's going on, and you get to kind of put your spin on it.
Yeah, and it's always fun that show because they are always trying to surprise people. So you turn up to work and it's some crazy visual image that they've created.
Yeah.
And you're wandering around in it.
Yeah, the Ice Cube episode is one of the most memorable episodes I've seen on TV for a long time. It's just really cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So do you know if you'll be in season 3?
Yeah, I'm curious to know. If you find out, let me know.
All right, I'll talk to my people. I'll see what I can do.
Okay, thanks.
So getting back to Beverly Loughlin, and that's 2 words, Loughlin. You're used to playing a lot of extremely funny, oddball characters, but in this one, every character is so strange. It feels like Colin you're really funny. I think you're the funniest person in it, but he sort of comes off as like the only normal person. Was that kind of a nice change of pace?
Yeah, I didn't really think about that when we were doing it. I was just trying to, be Colin, but in a normal movie he wouldn't be the most normal person. Just in that movie,
Exactly.
In any other, in any other film, he'd be the weirdest character.
Jermaine Clement with our own Ryan Juanita here on Digital Trends for DT Daily. That sounded like a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. It's
Yeah.
nice to be able to talk to one of your favorite actors.
Yeah.
Just kind of chill a little bit. He was really gracious too. We had 15 minutes. He went for 20.
Wow. I was just going to say, sometimes it's one of those things where you meet somebody like that and you're like, I hope they're going to be a cool person. And then
Yeah, and
they
they're
turn out to be a
usually
cool
fine,
person.
but sometimes
Yeah.
you're like on the clock, and then you got
Yeah.
somebody in your ear like, okay, you're done now. Get out of
Yeah,
here. He's
that's
got
it. Leave.
200 more interviews today.
Right.
So, but this one was pretty chill. So it was
Very cool. Well, and the article comes out later today or tomorrow at digitaltrends.com. You can hear the full interview itself on Between the Streams, the podcast Between the Streams. So hit subscribe to that wherever you get podcasts, and that way you can hear the entire thing. All right, I think that's about it for DT Daily today. We've got a couple of things to get to here before we wrap up the show. Just a recap, talking about the news. To go there to digitaltrends.com, you can read about Elon Musk's boring tunnel. That is now a
It's
reality.
not that boring.
It's
pretty
technically it's a boring tunnel.
Dad jokes. Gotta close with dad jokes.
It's too easy. It's too easy. You have to do it. Talking about Elon Musk's boring tunnel. We had a little bit of a preview of Samsung's event and the OnePlus OnePlus 6 that Julian and Jeremy talked about in New York. Thanks to those guys for joining us to talk about that. Adrian, obviously, in the first segment of the day, talking about the headline news. Chris Dixon with Pensole. That interview will be up. Really interesting to hear about his journey from 7th grade to now designing his own shoe and having it come out. That's very cool. And thanks to everybody who tunes in. We're live every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. We appreciate everybody who joins us and hangs out. And we do have a reward today, a $100 Amazon gift card giveaway. So right now, there it is. Boom. That's the fancy graphic that shows up. The $100 giveaway. The email code is OnePlus for us. Nice. You can email that to dtdaily@digitaltrends.com. Email that in now. Yeah, that's never going to work out.
Oh, it's gone now.
OnePlus for us, dtdaily@digitaltrends.com. Be the 10th emailer, and you will win like Mario did on Friday. Stay tuned to Digital Trends all day long for all of our other coverage, everything else that's going on. Lots of recaps on BlizzCon. Everything that you can look for in the world of tech is there, including Ryan's article coming out very soon. So stay tuned, and thanks everybody for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow with an all-new DT Daily.